you wake up in the dark, not dark like a bedroom with the lights off, dark like the inside of a mouth. 2 million years ago, the night doesn't have a dimmer switch, it has teeth. Somewhere close, something is breathing. You can't see it, you don't need to. Every hair on your body already knows. This is the world your ancestors lived in for millions of years. No walls, no weapons that mattered, no plan B. By every rule of survival, they should not have made it through the night. Humans are slow, soft, loud. We can't outrun a lion, outclimb a leopard, or outfight a hyena pack. On paper, we are prey, easy prey. And yet, somehow, we are here, you are here. Watching this, something changed the odds. Something our ancestors didn't invent, didn't understand, and definitely didn't ask for. It fell from the sky. Lightning splits a tree, dry grass catches, and out of pure accident, a small orange thing appears on the savannah that has never existed there on purpose before. Every instinct says run. Fire kills. Fire is the thing that burns the grasslands, that chases every animal for miles. So here is the first question nobody can fully answer. Why did our ancestors walk toward it? That single decision, made by creatures with brains a third the size of yours, is arguably the strangest, most consequential move in the entire history of life on Earth. And almost nobody talks about what it actually set in motion. Because here is what you have probably been told. Fire kept humans warm. Fire cooked food. Fire scared off predators. Fine, true. Also, barely the beginning. That's the postcard version. The real story is stranger, and it involves your gut shrinking, your brain expanding, your childhood getting hijacked, and your ability to speak in full sentences existing because of a campfire nobody planned to build. Fire didn't just help humans survive, it rewired what a human even is. Start with the part almost nobody expects. Early humans probably couldn't make fire, not at first. Striking flint, drilling wood, that came much later. For a huge stretch of our history, if you wanted fire, you didn't create it, you stole it. From a burning tree, a smoldering peat bog, a lightning strike still glowing at the edges, which means the moment they took that first flame, they were holding something they had no idea how to reproduce. Lose it, and it's gone, maybe forever. So they did something that sounds almost absurd out loud. They kept it alive, fed it, guarded it, carried embers wrapped in bark or moss for miles. Some archaeological sites suggest certain fires may have been tended for generation after generation, passed down like an heirloom that happened to be made of flame. Think about that. Before language, before agriculture, before permanent homes, humans were already organizing their lives, sleeping in shifts, taking turns, coordinating around the survival of something they hadn't even created. That single obligation, protect the flame, may be one of the earliest reasons humans needed to trust each other at all. But keeping the fire alive was sent the real turning point. That came from what the fire did to the food. Raw meat and raw plants are hard work. Your gut has to grind through tough fiber, tough muscle, extracting every calorie the hard way. Chimpanzees spend nearly half their waking day just chewing. Then something changes. Someone, nobody knows exactly who, exactly when, leaves meat too close to the flame, and it doesn't burn away. It transforms. Cooked meat is softer. Cooked starch is easier to break down. The exact same food suddenly hands over dramatically more usable energy for far less digestive effort. Anthropologist Richard Wrangham built an entire theory around this moment, arguing that cooking may be the single event that made the rest of human evolution mathematically possible. Because here is the trade our bodies quietly made. Less energy spent on digestion means more energy available elsewhere. And the human body only has one organ greedy enough, expensive enough to soak up that surplus. The brain. Pound for pound, your brain burns through a staggering share of your body's daily energy, far beyond what other animals spend on theirs. That kind of expensive tissue doesn't evolve for free. Something had to pay for it, cooking paid for it, and slowly, over hundreds of thousands of years, guts got smaller, brains got bigger. The same trait generation after generation, until the ratio inside the human skull looked unlike anything else that had ever walked the planet. But a bigger brain creates an immediate brutal problem. Big brains take a long time to build. A newborn human is, biologically speaking, almost embarrassingly unfinished, helpless for years, when other animals are up and running within days. That should be a fatal weakness. Instead, it became a feature, because a longer childhood means more time to learn, more time to copy, more time to be taught, not just born already knowing. And what were early humans gathered around, night after night with nowhere else to be? The fire. Firelight didn't just illuminate faces. It created something that had never really existed before at scale. A daily window of downtime. During the day, life is survival. foraging, hunting, moving. But once the sun drops and the flame is lit, there is nothing left to hunt and nowhere left to walk. For the first time, human beings had hours of forced stillness, together with just enough light to see each other's faces. Researchers studying modern hunter-gatherer groups noticed something telling. Daytime conversation is almost entirely practical. Complaints, logistics, arguments over resources. Nighttime, fireside conversation is different. It shifts towards stories, myths, jokes, gossip about people who aren't there. The kind of talk that requires imagination, not just information. Fire didn't just give humans free time. It invented the world's first stage, and a stage needs more than grunts and gestures. Around that fire, across thousands of generations, something in the human throat and brain kept getting pushed. More sounds, more structure, more shared meaning, until eventually humans weren't just making noise at each other. They were telling each other who they were, stories about the hunt that almost went wrong, stories about ancestors, about spirits, about why the sun disappears and comes back. Once you can tell a story that isn't literally happening in front of you, you can do something no other species can. You can teach a lesson to someone who wasn't there to learn it the hard way. That's not a small upgrade. That's the beginning of culture itself. And there is a stranger twist still buried in all of this, one that has nothing to do with brains or language at all. Fire changed sleep. Before firelight, darkness meant one thing: shut down, stay still, wait for morning, because moving blind is how you die. But firelight pushes the edge of night back. Suddenly, there are a few extra hours where it's neither full daylight nor total blackness. Hours to talk, to plan, to simply exist together without doing anything. Some researchers argue this shift may have nudged human sleep itself, compressing it, delaying it, making room in the day for exactly the kind of social time that builds trust between people who aren't blood relatives. And trust between strangers is not a small thing. It's the raw material civilization is built from. Follow the thread all the way out. A lightning strike becomes a stolen flame. A stolen flame becomes cooked meat. Cooked meat becomes a smaller gut and a bigger brain. A bigger brain demands a longer childhood. A longer childhood demands teaching. Teaching around a fire at night becomes language. Language becomes story. Story becomes myth, religion, law, memory that outlives the person who first spoke it. None of it was planned. None of it was inevitable. It was one accident compounding on the next for over 1,000,000 years. That tiny, stolen flame our ancestors carried through the dark want, just keeping them alive. It was quietly rewriting what it meant to be human. We like to imagine humanity was built by kings, by empires, by great inventions, but long before cities, long before writing, long before anyone dreamed of building pyramids or launching rockets. Humanity was built by ordinary people taking turns feeding a small flame through the night. Civilization didn't begin when we built the first city. It began the moment strangers trusted each other enough to keep the fire alive until morning. Follow that flame forward through time. It becomes the hearth in the first permanent home, the furnace that melts bronze, the forge that shapes steel, the engine that powers the Industrial Revolution, the power station lighting entire cities, the electricity flowing through the screen you are looking at right now. The fire changed its form, but it never stopped changing us. The next time you strike a match, light a candle, start your stove, or simply flip a switch without thinking, remember what you are really looking at. Not just heat, not just light. You are looking at one of the oldest partnerships in human history. 1,000,000 years ago, a version of you stayed awake in the darkness, protecting a small flame because losing it might mean losing everyone they loved. Today, we no longer gather around campfires to survive the night, but we still gather around light. We still tell stories, we still teach our children, we still imagine tomorrow, in ways so ordinary we rarely notice that ancient fire never stopped building humanity. It simply became us. The flame survived for 1,000,000 years to reach you. Don't miss the next chapter of the human story. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.